Kia ora, boys and girls. Welcome to another episode of The Drop Clutch with me, Ricky V. In this series, I'm interviewing as many metal drummers from around New Zealand as I can get to, just to get some insight into what makes these guys and girls tick. Now, tonight's guest is a guy that I've known for well over a decade. He is the drummer, former drummer, who knows what's going on with that band of Scarf. And he is the current drummer of prog fucking legends Ovus, prog instrumental legends Ovus. I have Jignesh Jasmat. Jig, how you doing, bro?
Yo, man, good, dude, real good. How you going,
Woo!
man?
Oh, bro, fucking wonderful. So, to get us started there, Jigs, can you tell us about yourself? Tell us a little bit about your history. Give us a rundown, please.
I started drums when a while back now. So I think it was about '08, 2008. My big brother started playing drums a bit before that. Um, he was getting lessons, which is something that I always wish that I did, but did not do. But we'll get to that. He was taking lessons, and then I would just probe his mind and kind of ask him questions just because I thought it was cool. Really, it was just because I thought he was cool, classic younger brother looking up to older brother kind of stuff. It wasn't until he moved away, went to uni, obviously couldn't take the kit with him. It was this old school like Tama swing star, like massive bass drum, massive toms that I could never really position in the right way, being a short dude and all that jazz. But yeah, it was a good kit to begin on. But he went away to uni, and then that's when I started messing around with it really. Just playing a few really simple, stuff. Like it was kind of like, listen to AC/DC, do that, right? So that was good. But then it wasn't until Alex Carantonis, as you know,
Yes.
mutual good mate Alex. He wanted to start a band. I think I had statistics with him or some maths class in college, high school. And he was just going, obviously loves Metallica, Megadeth, um, and was talking about wanting to make a band. And then I'm pretty sure I was just like, my brother has a drum kit, and he was like, "Cool, you can be our drummer." I was just like, "All right then, sure." Um, and then that's pretty much what started it, man. I was just like, all right, I have a goal to work towards now. Um, we, found Kane had been playing brass instruments, and Alex, I think, was just like, I need a bassist. Kane's like, I'm interested, and he's like, cool, here's a bass. You owe me $100. Like he just kind of whipped it together, and honestly, it was like the start of like something kind of pretty wonderful, really.
Mm.
So I went off from there and just like, it was like first gig was in like 6 months at some kind of like biker gig thing that his dad was in like a biker club that he was chucking on. And so I think we did like, probably like four Metallica covers and one original song or something like that. But that was mean. But that was kind of what lit the fire under my ass, really. It was like, cool, all right, I've been enjoying this casually. Now time to actually work towards something.
Sure.
Um, but yeah, never took any lessons or anything. Just kept like just listening to stuff and just trying to emulate it. It was one of those things at the time, I'm like, I'm doing a good job of this, and then you look back and you're like, oh no, maybe
That,
not. But that's fine.
yeah.
In retrospect, everything seems a bit shit.
Well, that's how I feel now. So,
Yeah, yeah.
oh, cool.
Um, but yeah, I mean, it fucking Lars double kick, it just kind of started. I'm sure you're pretty similar, right? Like chatting with you a few moments here and there about drums, like just Metallica is like such a spark under like so many metal drummers, I feel.
Fuck
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, yeah. And then Scarf was a thing that kind of started super casually. It never disbanded, so like you said, it is still going on. Our singer lives in the UK, and just anytime he comes back home, we'll just have a jam, somehow remember our old material, and then normally just like make 1% progress on literally these two songs that we still are like, those are good songs. We should make it into something one day. And it's been like, 5 years, but like, one day.
Sure.
Um, but yeah, and then so Ovis is obviously the big one. Getting into that band was actually a pretty funny story. So I saw Ovis for the first time. at what was it called? Studio 26,
Yeah, yeah.
which we're both very familiar with. At a gig there, I don't know if it was a band and booze or just like some other show, but like they played there, they were wearing these weird animal hats and just shredding. Um, and it was insane. They had Ian Moyer on
Yeah.
the drums, Duck Divinity, and all the Into Orbit, all that good stuff. Um, and I was just blown away by them. And then didn't see them for years. Ages later, I got this message from a friend of mine who had matched with the guitarist Joe on Tinder.
Oh, yeah.
And she was just like she messaged me just being like, "Hey, do you know Ovus?" And I was like, "Yeah, like sick band. I remember them from years ago. Why do you ask?" And I was like, "Oh, I haven't seen them in a long time though. Wonder what happened to them. Why do you ask?" And she was like, "Oh, yeah, they haven't been playing because they haven't been able to find a drummer. Do you want to try out for them?" And I
Oh,
was like,
yeah.
"Oh, like I'm not up to that bar, blah blah blah, all that, classic imposter syndrome, stuff."
Sure.
Um, and then she was like, "Just do it." And I was like, "Fine." Went and hung out with the boys, and like it was sick, man. Like it was like I'd been jamming away at the one song Archaic that they had released, which is this bloody like 9 minute, 11 minute song, whatever it is. Ridiculous song as like a first song to learn, but I just jammed that a bunch, learned real basic skeleton of it, had my first jam with them. We played a bunch, but then like we also just shot the shit heaps, and it was just I knew that on that personal level, like walking away from that night, I was just like, if they want me, if I'm good enough on drums and they think the same way, I'm totally in, like it was kind of that whole like, personality is kind of the most important thing really at the end of the day, so like it just clicked so well.
Fuck yeah.
But yeah, so like that was kind of real briefly, that was kind of how I learned drums and how I ended up in Ovus. So kind of ridiculous and like massive shoes to fill with Ian, like being the ex-drummer and stuff.
Oh,
Like
fuck yeah.
I remember when I first saw him, we played a show and it was his first show watching, and he was doing the kind of the classic metal guy, like arms crossed from the crowd. I was just like, oh shit. But then afterwards, he kind of gave me a bit of a nod of approval, and I was like, all right, I finally feel accepted.
Yeah, no, Ian, he's got a very unusual playing style. It
Mm,
looks, said as respectfully as possible. It looks fairly stiff, but yeah, absolutely phenomenal drummer. And the bar that he set in Ovis was very high. So
oh, insane, dude.
yeah, yeah.
Dude, that guy's playing bloody black metal in like jeans and boots, doing blast beats and stuff. I'm like, how does this happen? I just like I watch him and it like gives me kind of anxiety just because I like don't understand how he does what he does.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So you said that you started playing in 2008. How old were you then, Jigs?
So I would have been. Oh, so that was when I joined Metal Fracture,
Okay,
classic
sure.
college band name.
Yeah, yeah.
So I should probably started playing drums like maybe '06 was my first time that I jumped on a kit. So that would have been 16, 17, probably playing a little bit more, and then Alex making me be a drummer in a band.
Sure.
Oh wait, so I was about 8, but yeah, we would have been like, oh no, I'm getting that a bit wrong. It must have been about '06 then. It must have been around 16, 17.
Anyway, getting back to you. So Jigs, can you tell us who some of your favorite drummers are, please?
Yes, it's probably a decent list. I'm really basic, really. Like I don't go, I didn't really like get influenced by a lot of drummers outside of rock and metal, real kind of basic bitch stuff. But so like Taylor Hawkins was a big one. I think that came up in a previous one. You got a tattoo or something, which I didn't know about.
Yeah,
That's
bro.
cool.
I've got the Taylor
Mm.
Hawkins Eagle.
Yeah, nice. I
Yeah.
did kind of consider it after his passing, I was like, oh, I have no tattoos, and I was like, should this be the one? Maybe one
Sure.
day.
Sure. Fuck it. Do it.
Um, but yeah, like his energy, like obviously just being like a sick rock drummer. But then it's kind of proggy stuff in there, like him and Dave being massive Rush fans and stuff, and you hear it every now and then come through. But a lot of it for him was just like, he was just this kind of wild monkey behind the kit, right? Like big grin, arms flailing, those like short shorts and stuff, like he just had such a distinctive look, which I like always dug. And I think like part of the reason I've gotten a lot of compliments around like my like energy and like smiles and stuff behind the kit. And I feel like it's kind of always come from him, like
Sure,
growing up watching that, just being like, that's cool. Like show that you're enjoying it.
sure.
Um, but then yeah, like as I got into kind of heavier stuff, there was Sheldon, what's his name? Sheldon Woolwright from Blind Spot and like I Am
Yep.
Giant. Massive influence on me. Not necessarily his kind of like reggae stuff that he sprinkled into little bits here and there, but just like I don't know, like he was responsible for a lot of blind spots like little instrumental interludes on albums and things like that. Like I've eventually found out he was like really involved in a lot of production aspects and stuff. And I think I always respected that, like the drummer who kind of like steps outside of like playing drums, as well as being super influenced by his playing as well.
Sure.
Who else is there? Probably Travis Smith, I think was his name, the first drummer of Trivium.
Yep.
Trivium, massive, huge influence on me. So like when that was definitely like I feel like I'm just slowly going up how I felt like as I was getting into heavier music. Trivium was a big one. And his drumming was like, yeah, like nothing too hardcore, but just like his endurance and double kick. And you could he to be honest, he wasn't a great live drummer, but like his studio work was just like phenomenal.
Sure.
Steve Judd Carnival, that was like getting more like proggy stuff. And then I don't know, you got your Danny Carey and like stuff like that, just like getting all into that realm was just like, what are odd time signatures? How are you playing this time signature when another band member's doing this and all that kind of stuff, just like the creativity there and then the strength. And then nowadays, I don't know if I would even say my playing's like directly influenced by them, but I guess I take a lot of like I just respect them so much and follow them a lot. Matt Halpin, Periphery,
Yeah.
and old bloody Matt, what's his name, Gatska, Animals Leaders dude.
Yep.
I mean, like he's just so jacked. Like, how could you not respect that?
Sure. Absolutely.
But yeah, yeah. I mean, decent list. But I think like as I went on in my as I discovered heavier music, it kind of flowed from one drummer to the next as I kind of like pulled little bits from them all.
Sure. Absolutely. Well, following on from that, Jigs, who is your favorite drummer that you've seen live?
Oh shit, that is a hard one. Because I've seen a lot of those drummers live, which I am really happy to have seen. Probably Danny, man. Like Danny Carey is just like, I mean, it's just like the presence that he has on the stage and
Hmm.
like the stuff that he's doing and what he's like 60 something now. Like the technique, the power, like the creativity, it's all there and like it's all on display in a single tool show, right? Like you kind of get everything. You get like his heavy stuff, you get his softer dynamic stuff, you get his weird synth drum solo-y shit, and then like his like crazy tabla, electric pad stuff, and just like I don't know, I think just like everything, like that whole band just fires on all cylinders when you see them, and I think just like it's just ridiculous seeing that. And then when you get to see him hit that gong and then carry on playing, it's like, what? What do you mean? How do you do that?
Sure. Sure. Getting more focused onto you, how would you describe your style?
Oh, this is the one. This is
This is the
the question,
one.
isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know. Probably it's a bit self-depreciate. I'm always a bit self-depreciating, but probably like sloppy but passionate. Like I kind of like I like alluded to earlier. Like I've literally never had a formal lesson. I understand very little theory, which comes with a lot of challenges. I've just like nothing's come naturally to me. I wouldn't say I'm musically gifted at all, like naturally gifted at all. I never picked things up quickly. Everything was a struggle. I just kind of grinded away, just sat there with headphones listening to stuff and trying to do it. So like I don't know, I think I'm like enthusiastic and energetic and I think I put on a good show, but like when it comes to record, like when I first did my very first recording on myself, I was shocked at how poor I was on time. And then I like grinded with a click real hard. And then like the next recording I did, I remember a mate being like, "Wow, like you've come a long way." And I was like, "Thank God," and just like again, like grinding again. First time recording with the Ovus boys, just laying down some like demo tracks on my electric kit. Again, it was like, "Oh, I'm not as good as I thought." So it's been I don't know, it's been a tough journey, man. Like, yeah, like So like I think I'm definitely getting better and I'm like actually learning rudiments and like, understanding time signatures a lot better and like, realizing that I've been doing stuff all along, but just understanding it better so that I actually know properly where the accent should be, instead of just
Sure.
like kind of feeling like, oh, you just match it up with that guitar note here. It's like, I'm playing like a paradiddle here and emphasize like that hit, and do a soft next hit and blah blah blah. But like, yeah, so like, yeah, sloppy but passionate.
Sure. Awesome. I can empathize 100%. I'd say that's a pretty good descriptor of my style. Um, so,
I do real quick, man. I do remember being at the Rimataka Tab one time, and
yeah.
I don't know what gig it was. I don't know if who was playing, but I remember you writing, scribbling drum tab on literally a barn like napkin, scribbling shit out, and me being like, "Bro, I only like half understand what you're talking about right now, but it's great. But whatever you've explained to me, it's fucking awesome."
Sure. Sure, we'll go with that. Um, now, speaking of Ovus, so obviously you guys have been demoing some stuff. So that means that you've been a part of the writing process. Can you
Mhm.
tell us what the writing process is for Ovus?
Yeah, it's kind of actually changed pretty recently. We've been trying to kind of mix things up a bit, but it used to be, and for the longest time that the bands existed, the workflow was pretty much Joe and Adam, both guitarists. They're like like absolute geniuses in Guitar Pro. And have you messed around Guitar Pro much? Sounds like shit, but it's a great tool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, no. We use Reaper in Teeth and Nails. We use
Yeah,
Reaper.
yeah.
Not quite the same.
So like Guitar Pro, you can program everything, right? You've got like a fretboard and you can be like, cool, I'm gonna play like open note here and a three here and blah 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 and like, tab it all out and it plays it with like silly MIDI notes and stuff like that. And you can program drums and stuff in there. So it's like it's not necessarily a full door like Reaper, just like more of a songwriting tool. Um and like they just come up with the most insane stuff on there. Like they'll mess around on guitar, put it into Guitar Pro, and then because they're now in Guitar Pro, they can easily shift some notes around and find like weird chords and stuff, and then like go back to guitar and go from there and build off it and stuff. So then Joe probably more than Adam would program drums, and he would just come to the band with these huge guitar profiles that would just have various ideas and sequences and chord progressions and stuff. Some of it with drums programmed, some of it without. There was never any pressure to like stick to those drums at all. Like he would come up with some really cool parts though, and I always appreciate like working on drum parts like really collaboratively, just because like I don't know, like I think some of it like not knowing some theory, it's like, and then they're very well versed in theory. It's like they have a different perspective on things. So when we like mix and match our writing on that, I think like really good shit comes out of it.
Sure. I would
Um,
agree.
but recently, we've been kind of mixing it up a bit and trying to do a lot more like, doing recordings, sending them back and forth online. I'm trying to write a bit of guitar parts now and have kind of like not submitted, but have like put for review like a couple riffs and like things like that. Like I've always had a goal to like get one of my riffs into an over song because then I know it's a sick riff. So still working towards that. We've jammed a few of my ideas, which have been really nice and really fun to do. But really recently, we're actually working with a producer friend up in Auckland, and
Wow.
none of us have ever done that before. And so it's really funny. We sent him a song. He pretty much ripped it in bits and like completely shifted things around to like a really refreshing way. He didn't have drums initially with them, and so he was putting down some like kind of like trap beats like under stuff that like sounded sick that I'm like, I need to learn how to play that. Holy shit. Um, but yeah, so that's like a really recent thing. We're trying to like go up there every now and then and kind of sit with them. So at the moment, Joe and Adam are flying up there next week, I think, spend a bit of a weekend up there, kind of just whiteboarding and like, going over song structure and all this stuff. And, he took like this really kind of slow buildy up riff and just sped it the fuck up and it sounds like a cool tech riff now. And I was like, oh, sick.
Oh yeah.
So like yeah, he's doing some really like he's a drummer himself, and is a big fan of the band. So like it's just really cool like working with that like complete external person. He's not kind of emotionally connected to the band in any way, so he can just kind of say what he wants, do what he wants, and we're just kind of open to hearing it all. So that's been like really new and really fun to go through.
Sure. What's his name?
Ricky something.
Ricky
Because
something.
when that's probably rude of me. I should know. I'll find it later. When I said I'm going on Ricky's podcast, the other guys were confused because they thought I was talking about that Ricky, and then I was like, no, not him. That was a whole thing.
Oh, sweet ass.
But
Cool.
yeah, so change really recently, but I think for the best in terms of like, being more collaborative. Our bassist also lives in Christchurch, so like,
Sure.
we've had to become a bit more of an online collaborative band. But yeah, yeah, it's been good.
Sure. Awesome. Awesome. Well, dialing it in a little bit onto you and your drumming. Obviously, it's a constant journey that
Mm.
really never ends for most people. But is there a specific technique that you are practicing or working on improving at the moment?
Yeah, I think this is probably really representative of how I never took lessons, and I'm, sometimes starting from scratch and like really going back, trying to go back to basics sometimes. But just like doubles, man, doubles is a really thing that I'm just trying to get. Have you seen that Thomas Lang video where he's just showing his doubles and he just does them around the kit and it sounds like the exact strength of that he was doing singles? And I'm like, that's insane.
Yeah,
So like obviously not trying to do exactly that, but just trying to get my doubles like way more even. But when I want them to be even, right, and then soft and hard, and accent them when I want them to do that. So like that's probably been the biggest one that I've been just drilling recently, last couple of months, just kind of working on that. And I think some of it's been like us talking about putting some more like like kind of trappy and like hip hop beats and stuff.
sure.
Um, they do heaps of that real quick hi-hat, stuff in there, those little bursts of like, real quick hits. And I think doubles, like you can just groove on that really well. Like Luke Holland, that like, guy kind of got
Yeah,
massive from YouTube, but now does Jason Richardson and all that jazz. Like just like I see a lot of his stuff is just often just like doubles on like, moving around the kit in really creative ways. And I was just like, okay, cool. Like kind of want to like get into that vibe a little bit more. But yeah, so real simple, man. Just kind
sure.
of trying to grind on that, yeah, and just like I think I saw one of your videos in one of the Facebook groups, kind of just like alternating, just like single, 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 double, 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 and then like slowly just building up from there, and then like dropping back down to singles and stuff like that, and just grinding different patterns and shit. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Well, the what I'm doing now is, 1, 2, 3, 4, double on the 1, 2, 3, 4, double on the
mm,
1, 2, 3, 4, double on the 1, 2, 3, and then 4, and then double on the
yeah,
1, 2, 3, 4, and then back down and just
yeah, and sequence
cycling
down and
like
up and down.
yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so yeah, because my hand technique is shit and has always been shit, and I'm trying to improve it. And uh it's a work in progress.
yeah, yeah. Your
Yeah.
feet have always been super impressive, man. That was like, I remember the first time seeing you drum, you were like what kind of like really inspired me, and I'm still shit at it, to try and get much better at the whole like Chris Adler, in my mind, the Chris Adler style, like dum dum.
Yeah.
I think I just did ruin, but
Yeah, you
that shit,
did.
yeah,
Yeah. Oh wow. That fucking
yeah.
warms my heart, bro. Yeah, no,
Oh
awesome.
mate, yeah. It's like your feet are so clean, man. I'm sure you wouldn't say that, but like
Oh no.
they've always been impressive, dude.
Oh, well, that is fucking awesome to hear. Thank you so much, Jigs. Right, so now we're going to play a game called First, Last, Best, and Worst. So you've actually already told us what your first gig was. So we'll just jump straight to last, best, and worst. So this is where you tell us the last show that you played.
What did I
What
say my first gig was?
when you were with Karen Tonis and McGillicuddy, and you played like
Oh,
four Metallica covers and a couple of other
oh
things.
yeah, yeah. Our actual very first show was at our high school talent show. We did For
Yeah.
Whom the Bell Tolls. First song I ever fully learnt on drums. First time I'd ever played drums in front of other people that wasn't the band. And I broke a stick, and that was the show that I learnt that drummers can break sticks.
Oh, true. Yep. Yep.
And after the
Important
show,
lesson.
I was literally shaking. I remember a friend ran up to me. I was like, "Oh my God, that's so great!" And like gave me a hug. And I was like, "Ah, thanks." Yeah, it's just like, man, it took me so long to get over those physical jitters. Like I'm obviously still nervous for shows sometimes, but like the physical like reaction of it, man,
Sure.
took me ages.
Oh, yeah,
That was
100%.
probably my very first show, I think.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. Cool. So tell us about the last show that you played, the best show that you played. Now, that can be when you feel like you played the best. That can be The best environment, it can be the biggest and best show, anything of that kind of nature. And then last is the worst. So that can be the worst show, the worst that you played, the worst thing that, or funniest thing that happened to you. That's really open for interpretation as well. So what was the last gig that you played, please, Jigs?
It's probably the last gig that we played, that I played, was actually, so I'm also in this little covers band with my partner as well. We kind of do some hip hop, some pop, some soul. There's some cool shit in there. That was my last gig, and that was cool. That was a house party for a friend. It was just like little show, fucking mean. But my last show with Ovus is probably my last, like, kind of like proper show, and also my best show, I reckon, my favorite show. It was at Twisted Frequency. We
Yep.
played there on the third, I think. So that's like, yeah, like the third night or thing that it's on for. It's a multi-day festival. Um, that was amazing, man. Biggest show that we've like biggest audience that I think we've played to. Um, biggest like stage, biggest like just vibe wise, like it was great, and probably our biggest amount of effort we've put into like other bits of production as well. Like we all had these Joe's partner, Breeder, she made like these like vest things for up that lit up and shit like that.
Oh, yeah.
And it didn't work out exactly to plan, because we then realized the lights like were making the guitar pickups buzz a little
Oh,
bit.
true.
So the boys ended up turning theirs off, but I kept mine on, and that still kind of created a bit of a vibe. It was just the biggest show that we've done, and like it had the most hype around it. Everyone, like, it just went amazingly. Like there were little mistakes here and there. Um, we've got this kind of silly thing going on, but it's hilarious, where we're like trying to get the sponsorship from this chili bin company called Icy Tech, and we
Oh,
just like constantly make posts about like Icy Tech this, and like we took one with us, and we did this whole promo thing. We were like, when Joe does a guitar solo on this, like everyone take photos and tag Icy Tech, and like we gave away beers from it. We're like, look, they're still cold on day 3 of camping, and like all this stuff. So that was just a bit of fun, eh? Like we definitely like we're not, we don't take things too seriously and like taking the piss a bit. But yeah, it was just a sick show, man. Like great reaction coming off the stage, like heaps of people coming up to us, and like at a festival like Twisted, there's so many people there, and so it was just like just anytime that someone just like acknowledges you is awesome, but like when they do that at a festival where there's just so much sick shit going on, it was awesome. And I think we managed to stand out, because I think we're probably one of like it's primarily like EDM, kind of like DJ kind of type stuff,
sure.
electronic producers. But there was a bunch of live bands there, but I think we would have been one of the more kind of like ruckus heavier ones. So I think that helped us like stand out. But that was amazing, man. Like the high that comes off like a really big show that you done, right? It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, we rode that for a long time, and we're very, very chuffed about how that all went.
Fuck yeah. Awesome.
What was
Awesome.
the other one? Oh, worst
And
show.
worst show,
Yeah,
funniest
yeah.
moment, worst moment. Hit me with it.
Probably the worst show. The first thing that comes to mind, we played the show at Moon. You played there before,
Yeah,
Newtown?
bro. Yeah, couple of
So like
times.
small, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how you fit that bloody behemoth of a kit behind you there at all. But
It's
it was the
tight.
first over show that I played on a three-piece kit, and I
Oh,
did not practice on a three-piece kit. Again,
oh.
lesson learned. Yeah, I just didn't think about it. I got so used to having a four-piece, and because that's what I use. And then I was like three-piece, and I was like, oh, I didn't think about that. Now I'm very well versed on playing our set on a three-piece because of the show. I was a bit of a mess. Joe broke a string.
Oh,
Just everything went wrong, man.
sure.
Like there were so many little things, like just sloppy playing. We were opening for Filth Wizard, from down south. They're an awesome band.
Yeah.
And they opened for us on our tour down there as well, which is awesome. But like we were real chuffed because they were super complimentary. I don't know, maybe they were just being nice hosts at the same time, but they were like really chuffed. And then they said yes to opening for us. So I mean, hey, they can't have thought we were, that bad. But yeah, I was like, it was one of those shows where I walked off and I was a little bit embarrassed. But hey, you kind of have one of those every now and then, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
yeah, it taught me some good lessons about, just think ahead. Think of like the worst house kit you might get and make sure you're ready for that.
Yeah, yeah,
After
yeah.
that show, I was like, all right, bring all the cymbal felts, bring little bits here and there. Make sure I've got a spare drum key. Like I really over prepare now, and it's
Sure.
it's saved my ass a bunch of times. I've got a little multi-tick like tool thing there, pliers, screwdriver, just anything. I just really try and think of it now, but a lot of it was from like that show and just like a few other things.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Hard lessons need to be learned, but they're
Yep,
valuable once you
yep.
get through them. Absolutely.
Hell yeah, man.
Awesome. Well, Jigs, brother, this is
Mate,
the very last part of the show. So this is where you get to make any plugs for any upcoming things that you got going on, and make any shout outs to any people that you want to make shout outs to. Jigs, sir, the floor is yours.
yeah, thanks, man. I mean, it feels obvious and first thing, but like cheer, thanks to you, man. Like this is cool. This is a great thing. Like I hope it just like continues to build momentum, man. It's like it's great. Like, and also if it builds momentum, that means I was on like the ground level, right, of something that turns real sick. So like, there's that as well.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
No, but it's great. It's really nice getting an insight into like what's his name? The guy from Claimus. Like, oh, I love those guys, man. Like, just
Kit.
like, and yeah, yeah. I'm not like close to them. A couple of the other boys in Ovus, like, know them a lot better. But just like hearing little bits from stuff like that. That vocalist slash drum, that old 8 foot drummer slash vocalist and
Yep, Sam Shepard,
what are they
Imperial
called?
Slave.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Like just hearing bits and pieces, like that story about Nile and Achilles on that mountain. Uh, Amazing. I was telling that to someone just the other day because it's such a cool story. But just shit like that,
Fuck
it's
yeah.
great, man.
Awesome. Well, thank you so
Um,
much, bro.
I mean, thanks to my partner for always dealing with like bullshit drummer stuff, right? I'm sure your wife knows the amount of space we take up, the amount of mess like drumstick residue leaves places, like, accidentally making a little grease mark from like a pedal touching carpet, all that bullshit.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, Ovus boys, obviously, like joining them was like, I think one time you actually said to me, like, this is the band that I've always seen you in, or something like that. And like,
100%.
yeah, dude.
100%. Fuck
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, we've seen
Absolutely.
each other in a lot of bands, I feel like, over
Yeah.
the years, and it feels like the bands that we're like kind of, our main bands now are like our bands that are like what we've been searching for, which is really
Oh,
cool.
fuck yeah.
Mm.
Absolutely.
Um, but yeah, I mean, all the bands that we've like played with and shit like that, like we played with like intervals and stuff like that. Obviously, like they're probably not going to see this, but like that's crazy. Like I mean, you played with an international band just recently, Ryan. Just like
Yeah.
that shit's like insane. I love that stuff.
Fuck yeah.
But mainly, I guess to like all the bloody punters who come out, man. Like local Wellington scene has been really good to Ovus. When I wasn't in a band, when I have been in the band and stuff like that. The fact that people remembered who we were when they went on hiatus, I joined the band and then came back, like there was still hype. Like somehow, our first show we played still had a bunch of people saying like, we're so glad that you're back. And I was like, this is insane. Like, it's crazy. Yeah, or like, it's like, and like people like Ben, Valhalla, shit
Yeah.
like that. Where would
Right.
we be without him, right?
MVP of the New Zealand metal scene.
Just,
MVP.
yeah,
Undisputed.
yeah, yeah.
For sure.
But yeah, so like them, mum and dad again for dealing with all my shit. Dude, I was talking to someone the other day, and I remember like the drum kit used to be in the garage, and when I started playing drums, I remember being like, "Mum, can I move it inside the house?" And she was just like, "Okay." And so it was next to my bed. Like I remember
Wow.
rolling out of bed on like a Saturday morning and just started playing drums, and like that's a ridiculous thing for a family to put up with. So like,
Fuck yes.
shot mum, dad, and my brothers.
Awesome.
And my oldest brother for getting me into drums in the first place, right? He also got me
Yeah.
into guitar, got me into metal and rock in the first place, like showed me Tool, System of a Down and shit. So like, I mean, I probably wouldn't be playing it without him, really. So
Sure.
yeah,
Absolutely.
where we
Well,
at?
Jigs, we are very nearly out of time. But I just want to say two quick things. First of all, my wife's actually got it twice as bad because my boy also plays drums and he's got his drum
Excellent.
kit set up in his room. So he gets to
Amazing.
play it. Oh yeah, bro, it's fucking dope. I love it. He was having a jam tonight. Got him some double pedals for Christmas and he's been blasting those. So He's
Nice.
12 now. By the time he's like 16, he's going to be a fucking
Oh,
weapon.
better than all of us.
Oh, makes me super proud. And
Mm.
secondly, I stand by and now underline my statement to you about you being an Ovus. Ovus is the band that you deserve. You're a phenomenal drummer. And when I heard that you had joined, as I told you back then, I literally fucking clapped because I was like, this is the band that he deserves. But more so, you are the drummer that they deserve. You are a fucking phenomenal drummer, bro. And
Thanks,
I,
bro.
I got to see you play with them and like your, I don't know, it was an early gig at
Mm,
Valhalla.
mm.
And I nearly had tears in my eyes, man. It was awesome. I'm so fucking happy for you,
Oh man,
because
thanks, dude.
you are the drummer that they deserve as much as they are the band that you deserve. So, Jigs, thank you so much for being on my show, bro. This has been fucking awesome.
Thank you, man. That's been fucking great. Love talking drums. We should do it not in a podcast where we have
Yeah,
more time,
absolutely. Absolutely. I
or in
100%
another
agree.
podcast.
Yes, yes, definitely. Awesome. So, thank you so much to Jigs for being here. Thank you so much for watching. This has been The Drop Clutch with me, Ricky V. We'll see you next time.